He wants down.
Yeah.
Hey guys. Anything. Whichever you go. Thank you. So you'll be 79 and head back to studio. Just behind us.
What is that?
So cool.
So when we were going to the Nutcracker the time when she was 7 years, I was like, so what do you think she'll do if she's using this equal one, right?
Do the same thing she did when she got her lesson. Remember?
In summer intensive, she was like...
Oh, that's right. Yeah, summer intensive. She was practicing for Swan Lake. And the girl... I just said bye.
Do you want to text Emma? and say hi?
What do you
Because she
want?
wanted me to
Can
tell
I
you
take a
she
picture
said
of
hi.
you too?
Yeah. Emma is in our class.
Yes.
Yes, the tall one.
Okay, ready? I got you two acting crazy.
That's her stretching sound.
She's stretching.
So Annie comes in, we're waiting in line, she's like looking around, and she goes, I think I might be short for my age.
Did it just dawn on you today?
Just here.
That's impressive. I love it. I love it. You're how old are you again? 11?
Yeah.
Maybe. No, you're 11, so I think that's fine. That's fine. When you're like 25, go ahead and say that. And you're still this tall, go say that. Did you actually do your stretches?
For all the audition, I'm going to think of Miss Bunder's voice.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yes.
One, two, because I found a video and she's like, one, two. Using alignment.
Some super good.
Can you do that again? Just pose in that Miss Wonder.
This one,
Miss Wonder.
Ten out, girl.
10 out. Don't dislocate
Yeah, don't
her.
no injuries right before.
After is fine.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, we didn't hear the noise. That's a good intersection.
Okay.
Watch that bun. Do this again.
It doesn't matter. I saw somebody before.
I don't-
Whatever. And the teacher said, I love you. I think I'm gonna use this.
I got this. What is tomorrow? More hop on, hop off?
Yeah, in the morning. Maybe Rockefeller Center tomorrow.
I said that this morning. And I was like,
Literally across from Madison Square.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Oh,
sir.
you're fine.
You taking a picture of my head?
No worries. No, it's all good.
I told you to stop taking pictures of strangers. We talked about this.
Is she nervous?
No, she doesn't do nervous.
She's good? Okay.
That's the like.
She's just
she's
trying
like
to...
the spectrum that we like approve of for her. We're like, great,
Okay.
that's great. Hers don't work.
Okay.
Yeah. tossed. Well, I was tossed in basic grade. I thought the boys were tossed. And then I thought girls.
There you go. Good to have you.
It's real hilarious. You guys are so resourceful. All set. Thank you so much for what you're doing. You don't want to, you should help. I'm trying to get them on the ballot. Everybody's asking me. Oh, you already said that? No, it's the other one.
All right, we have just got back from ABT. We're at the Freehand. Madison and Mommy over there.
So I just finished my audition for the American Ballet Theater Summer Intensive, and I think I did amazing because the judges looked like they were smiling whenever, because I could see them looking at me, and so they were smiling, nodding their head, talking, whispering, and then smiling again, repeating myself. But what happened was we were all waiting. We had our
You're all lined
signs.
up, still like you were when I saw you earlier. So
Yes.
they brought you all
we
lined
were
in. Okay.
And so we brought, and so basically we went out the waiting room, and then we came in the studio. And what happened was we went in our bars. We were still in order, and so we just did some, like, about 20 or less combinations at the bar, and they were pretty easy. We did tendus, we did like jumps, we did a lot of stuff, grandmas. There's some stuff they do differently at the American Ballet Theater than the Washington Ballet. For example, whenever at the Washington Ballet we do Grand Battement, they do the tendu, Grand Battement, tendu, close.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did all those combinations. Then we went to the center. We did like about 10 or less combinations. In the center, we were in groups in our rows. So we were one by one behind each other in rows. And we were in columns too. But the row we were in is our whole group. And we go left, and then the person in front of us go right. And so we're in our groups when we lead off. And so we did our combinations, and then at the end we were all in our order. And then we left to the side of the room in the corner to do across the room combinations. And there was one combination we did that it was literally exactly like the one in my class, but a pose at the end. It was saute, passe, saute, passe, saute, passe, soutenu, and then pose. But it's kind of like with that our combination without the soutenu at the end and the pose. And then basically after that we went to the center and we did the reverence, and then we were out. And so they kept our badges of our number, and then we were off.
Oh, they kept your number?
79.
I have pictures of it. I was just hoping to put it up in the book of Madison.
Yeah.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah.
Okay.
They asked for it.
Yeah.
Oh, they must reuse them.
Hmm.
Or not, and don't want people to have them. Shoot.
But yeah, I think I did good. So,
It was a great experience.
yes.
All right, fingers crossed. Hopefully we'll do a part 2 to this video of, you know, of
They'll
yes or no.
email, they're not sending letters, so we'll hear back in 10 days. It said days, it didn't say business days.
10 or
it said
12
10.
days.
Okay.
So
10 through 12 days.
Whether it's a yes or no, you're our star, and we love you. All right. Hopefully till next time. If not, it's still all good, because my daughter is the champion.
Don't do it. Daddy said I touched you.
like this.
Vincent, chin up. Stop, you're gonna scare
We're
him.
getting lower.
Okay.
See if he comes.
Just hold it right here. Just wait for him to like drop. No, give him one. Give him one. Oh, here he comes. Here he comes.
No, what's Let me just get one. Let me get one.
We need the bag. Oh.
Oh, he's got a few though. He has a few.
Probably got like 3 up there.
That's the funniest thing I've ever seen. Look at that one.
They're so fat. I love it.
He's trying to touch it.
Right behind you guys.
New York Harbor, where the statue is now, was not the first choice that Bartoli had for a statue, but it. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Welcome to New York on this pretty cold day. My name's Jack. I'm your tour guide. So, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Festivus for the rest of us. Remember Seinfeld, right? Typical New York sitcom. All right, a couple quick announcements before I begin my tour. We have life preservers for each and every one of you. God forbid if we need them, which we won't. We have refreshments on board here on the second deck in the back after the boat, so you could get a hot drink if there's hot water, which there should be soon. Snack, a drink, etc. Okay. So we're on the Hudson River now. The Hudson River separates the western side of Manhattan Island on our left from the state of New Jersey on our right. That's our neighbor to the west, the Garden State. We call it New Jersey. New York called the Empire State. And if we look on our left, a little behind us, look up as high as you can, behind us on the left, and you'll see the tallest building in the United States, the tallest building in the Western Hemisphere. 1,776 feet tall, 541 meters tall. That's One World Trade Center behind us on the left. It's what we call the Freedom Tower, an office building opened about 5 years ago with an observatory on top of that building. So on a clear day, you could go 102 of the 104 stories in the building and see about over 50 miles around from on top of that building. One World Trade Center considered to be one of the most environmentally friendly green skyscrapers in the world because, for example, that building collects and stores rainwater used for the cooling system, fire protection, and watering plants around the lobby. Also has a system called daylighting, where on a sunny day, most of the office space uses natural sunlight as its main source for lighting, saving thousands of dollars in energy costs every single year. On the right-hand side of the boat, we have a 21st century skyline. So if you were here about 30 years ago, you'd see none of those buildings. You'd see factories, warehouses, and old piers, not the modern office buildings, residential buildings, hotels we see today. That is Jersey City, New Jersey we're passing. New Jersey's second largest city at 270,000 people. And the tallest building in New Jersey currently is the last building On the left as you face it, next to the Colgate clock, that is the 42-story Goldman Sachs Tower. Yeah. Currently the tallest building in New Jersey. Yeah, there is a taller building being built, but that's not occupied yet, so I don't consider that a finished building. That's 99 Hudson, to the right of it. Colgate clock to our right. A New Jersey landmark, built in 1924. Said to be the 4th largest freestanding clock in the world. Shaped like an octagon, 8-sided. And at night you can see the time from great distances across the river to New York because it has LED lights on it. Shining brightly, time shining brightly across the river. 2 white concrete columns we see on our right is next to the building. To the right of the building as you face it is the New Jersey Memorial to September 11, 2001. It's facing diagonally because it's facing in the direction of where the original Twin Towers stood. On Manhattan Island across the Hudson River. Name of that memorial is Empty Sky. Empty Sky, also a Bruce Springsteen song about that horrific day. Some of you may know that Bruce Springsteen, the boss, is a native of the state of New Jersey. All 746 New Jerseyans who perished on 9/11, day that changed the United States and much of the world forever, their names are inscribed on the 2 white concrete columns to our right. Building, beautiful building we're passing on our right, the red brick building with the clock tower, is the Central New Jersey train terminal. Important because millions of new immigrants came to the train station on the other side of that building to get to their new homes in the United States. So for example, if a new immigrant arrived from Ellis Island, which we'll be passing in a moment, and did not want to go to New York on our left, but wanted to go west of here, let's say to a relative in Chicago, they took a train from that station to head to Point West. Millions of immigrants did that. The building was opened in 1889, closed down in 1967. Now we've left the Hudson River behind us. We are now in New York Harbor, one of the largest, finest natural harbors in the entire world. Hudson River behind us was discovered by English explorer named Henry Hudson in 1609. He wasn't sailing for the British though, he was sailing for the Dutch East India Company. Sailing for a company. The river flows in 2 directions, north to south to north, before it goes. And to confuse you even more, we're all new immigrants into the United States. 40% of the population of the United States today has a connection to Ellis Island, meaning about 40% of our people. We're passing on our right. Hopefully the new immigrants would get better. If they did get better, they would admit to our country. If they didn't get better, they were sent back to their country. Another reason why they couldn't get a better. They had a known criminal record in their native country. I'll talk about. Queens has 2.3 million people. Manhattan in front of us, 1.6 million people. But on a weekday, that 1.6 million almost triples because of all the commuters coming into Manhattan from the surrounding areas. The Bronx at the northern end of Manhattan. Bronx different than the other 4 boroughs. The only one of the boroughs actually attached to the continental United States. In the north, attached to what we call Westchester County. All the other 4 boroughs are islands. Brooklyn and Queens make up the western part of Long Island. Manhattan in front of us an island. Staten Island behind us an island. Only the Bronx on an island. Bronx 1.4 million people. Staten Island behind us. As I said, least populous borough, 500,000 people. That makes a total of 8.6 million people, making New York the largest city in the United States. If you think a city 8.6 million is large, think again, because there are cities around the world much larger than that. In China, we have Shanghai, for example, 22 million people. India, we have Mumbai, 28 million people. So in those countries, a city of 8.6 million be very small. But New York, Shanghai, Mumbai, all similar. They're all the financial capitals of their respective countries. Staten Island Ferry is racing us on the right. The big orange ferry. That's a commuter ferry to the borough of Staten Island. 5 miles across New York Harbor. Coming back to Manhattan now. Who knows what the best thing about the Staten Island Ferry is? No one knows? That's right, I heard it somewhere. It's free. Totally free to take that big orange ferry from Lower Manhattan to Staten Island and back. They leave about every half hour. But there is no tour guide on the Staten Island Ferry. And we came a lot closer to the Statue of Liberty than the Staten Island Ferry does. But not many things in New York are free, friends. Take advantage of the things that are. Now we have an island to our right, behind the Staten Island Ferry. That is Governor's Island. Historic island, only 800 yards off the coast of Manhattan. A military base for most of its history. First for our Army, then for our Coast Guard. But in the 1990s, the military sold it to the city of New York for $1. The military didn't need it any longer. The city of New York made it into a park, a seasonal park, only open during the summer from April through October. Now what could you do on Governor's Island when it's open during the summer? You could go glamping. Who knows what glamping is? Glamorous camping. Camping where you don't get dirty and people do everything for you. You can also go bicycle riding, picnicking, hiking. Go to a concert and festival on Governor's Island. Those residences, buildings we see are vacant, former residences of the military. Only a few people live on Governor's Island now. Artists. It is an artist colony. Also a maritime high school there, where the students have to take a ferry every morning from Lower Manhattan to Governor's Island and a ferry home at night. Round brick building we see on Governor's Island to our right that we're about to pass, with the cannon on top of it, is a fort built on Governor's Island, known as Castle William, built to protect New York Harbor in the early 1800s. Never used as a fort though, used as a prison. So if you're familiar with Alcatraz in San Francisco Harbor, that's New York's Alcatraz. A prison on an island in a harbor. It was a prison for over 100 years. Closed down in the 1960s. If we look to our right, we'll see the headquarters of the MIB, the Men in Black. That's that concrete, you see it? Yeah. That's it. No, unfortunately, that's not the headquarters of the MIB. That is a ventilation building for a tunnel going under New York Harbor.
See the building?
From Lower Manhattan into Brooklyn. That ventilates the tunnel every
building over there.
Every few minutes.
Over that way with the crane. Okay,
Brooklyn Bridge is to our right, diagonally ahead of us. See the first, behind the Staten Island Ferry. Historic bridge, took over 14 years to build. Longest cable suspension bridge in the world when it was completed in 1883. No bridge like it at that time. It went about a mile from where it began in Manhattan on the left, to where it begins in Brooklyn on the right. First bridge to use steel in its construction. No bridge used steel before the Brooklyn Bridge did. And if you look at it, you'll see thousands of steel cables attached to the two stone Gothic style towers. Those cables are so strong that they've held up the Brooklyn Bridge for 136 years. It goes from Lower Manhattan. You disconnected. Yep, there we go. It goes from Lower Manhattan on the left to Brooklyn on our right. When it was completed in 1883, it went from the city of New York to the city of Brooklyn. Brooklyn, not part of New York City in 1883. It was its own city. Fourth largest city in the United States. At that time, behind New York, Chicago, and Philadelphia. It wasn't until 1898 when all the five boroughs came together to form the New York City we know today. In 1898. So the captain, if we look to our right, we see the Battery. This is the Battery, the lowest point on Manhattan Island, the welcome mat at the island. Battery was where the first European settlers arrived. When they came to New York in the 1600s, Dutch came first in 1625, calling this area New Amsterdam. British came about 40 years later in 1664, changing the name to New York after King Charles's younger brother, James, Duke of York, and we've had that name for 1892. Over 8 million immigrants came through the round brick building. To our right, another 12 million came through Ellis Island across New York Harbor. Building we see on our right with the green clock tower with the flags in front of it is the only pier on Manhattan Island, still standing from the 19th century. It's known as Pier A, built in 1886. There's a restaurant and oyster bar in Pier A today. Now this area to our right that we're passing and to our right in front of us is a new area of Manhattan Island called Battery Park City, built from the landfill from the construction of the original twin towers of the World Trade Center in the late 1960s, early 1970s. And so instead of taking the landfill and throwing it into the water, they used it to build this area to our right, a residential and commercial area. Very desirable area to live with great views of New York Harbor. And there are apartments in Battery Park City that rent for over $6,000 a month. Very good. Pocket change for most of them. Now, on many of my cruises, somebody usually asks me, where did the plane land? Nobody asked me on this cruise, but maybe one or two of you are interested in knowing. Where the plane? Thank you. Plane landed on the Hudson River, where we are now, but not here. It landed a few miles in front of us, in Midtown Manhattan, about 48th Street. We are in Lower Manhattan now. What I'm talking about, for those of you who may not know, is we call the Miracle on the Hudson. Took place almost exactly 11 years ago, January 2009, when Captain Chesley Sully Sudlenberger was taking off from his Airbus jet in the LaGuardia Airport in Queens. Sully had a bird strike. Canadian geese went into both of the engines of his Airbus, disabling it. Sully couldn't fly without his engines. He had to land immediately. Couldn't make it back to the local airports. So Sully looked down, saw the Hudson River below him, this river we're sailing on right now, and realized this is the only possible place that he could attempt, and I emphasize the word attempt because it definitely wasn't a sure thing, to land or ditch his Airbus. So he flew over the George Washington Bridge, several miles in front of us. We can't see it, it's too far away. But it is the busiest car bridge in the world, going from Upper Manhattan on the right to Port Lee, New Jersey on the left. He just cleared that bridge by only a few meters. And after he cleared the bridge, he ditched his plane on the river, saving all 155 passengers and crew members on board. That was a miracle, friends. Never before had a jet landed on a river, but thank God no fatalities, only very minor, insignificant injuries. And I know some of those ferry captains that were the first on the scene to rescue passengers and crew members of Flight 1549 that was only in the air for 6 minutes before it made its emergency landing on the river. And believe it or not, you should believe me because I'm telling the truth, our captain today was driving this boat right now was one of those ferry captains who rescued 4 people on the river that day. Brought 4 people onto his ferry. So, his name is Captain Juan. You could get his autograph. I'll take a picture with him. Free of charge. So on the right, a little ahead of us, on the right, I can't see it yet, but there's a large glass building. It's going to be in front, it's to our right, it will be. It's called the Winter Garden. And today you could go ice skating in front of the Winter Garden. Inside there are nice shops, some restaurants, very tall palm trees, Christmas decorations, and 2 food courts if you're hungry. The one on the 2nd floor called Hudson.
You want to skate on there next time?
Huh?
You want to skate there next time?
I am the leader of the Autobots.
Are you recording?
Yeah, now I am.
I
Yeah, I'm Optimus Prime. What?
war that meets the eye. Within each of us, there is a greatness waiting to rise.
Kid.
It is your choice to
It's
be more
Optimus, man.
tomorrow than what you are today. We are here to be more. A leader, a friend, a hero. It's what makes us rise above. It is not about who we are, but who we become.
You got it right, Optimus. Is he not doing it? Oh, he's not doing it. It's all good. Yeah. Yeah. Video is on. Area. Look.
That's what you just said earlier.
Video is on.